So there have been a lot of conversations around the scene, especially over the last few weeks, on the map pool and the voting system in our game. And basically now you could vote for maps that are going to be in the ranked pool in the game. I'm going to make a video on that, by the way. I think it's really good for the game, but I think there are some things they could do a bit differently. Anyways, this map, Pacific Islands, got voted into the pool, and I haven't seen many games on it. I've been trying to watch low elo legends and mid elo and some high elo. Basically, no one's playing it, it feels like. But occasionally, there is a Pacific Islands game, and that's exactly what we have here. So, in the blue, this is at a high elo, about 2K plus, 2100 elo. We've got famous arena player playing as the Saracens, all right? Which he randomed into. Kind of fun fact, you start with a transport on this map. Whoop, they're passing each other. Whoop, there they go. Also, interesting, unique bonuses. Saracen transports have more HP, and then the Sicilian transports have more vision. Look at all that vision. Woo! So that's kind of fun. And against John Slow is an Asian player. I believe he's Taiwanese. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. I don't know too much about this player, but Dennis is around 2K. So he was the underdog in terms of elo, but just by a little bit. And is playing as the Sicilians, like I said. So, starting off with a transport means you could obviously transport units if you wish to maybe take these middle areas. This map's kind of shaped like yin-yang here. We've got these two islands in the Pacific, but yeah, anyways. Is this my tree mod that's making the trees look this way? I apologize, but you're probably not going to see transporting just yet. Players are just scouting each other. So, you start on an island. You have a decent amount of wood, not a lot. And then you've got 1 stone and 1 gold. I think the normal route to go on this map, the safe way to go, would be to do exactly what you do in any other water map. And you'd want to dock, take some fish, and then go up to Feudal Age and make ships. Okay? Just think about it. You make fishing ships. Great, you've got good food eco. You actually can use your transport ship to not only scout the enemy like John Slow is doing right now, but scout where those fish are as well, which is very helpful. Like, from Red's perspective, Red can actually see where the deep fish are, whereas you wouldn't normally be able to get that little bit of a peek. So yeah, and that seems to be what Red's going to do, at least so far. Red's going to build the dock here. And Red has not transported anything away, but Red did go full circle. So they have both found each other on the opposite islands. It's very possible this is the first time both these players have played this map. Because typically what happens is you've got, and I've explained this many times, so my long-term viewers understand this, but players have favorite maps. So John Slow favorites Arena, and then bans Arabia, and all open land maps, right? He's a clown. Just the CL, the Clown Legion team he's on. Dennis most likely likes the open land maps and likes the aggression. Doesn't like the closed maps. So we probably had Arena banned and Arabia favorited versus Arabia favorited and Arena banned. Wait, did I get that wrong? You get the point. We got 2 different styles here, and they end up on one of the maps that were unbanned in the middle. In fact, I will tell you this, okay? Players just assume that one of the other players is going to ban this map. Like, it is that ridiculous for a lot of high-level players across the scene that they just assume no one else is going to leave that open, so I'm going to use my bans on something else. And then occasionally it happens. So anyways, John Slow here, he's docked here to the north. He really didn't place the best starting dock because he didn't scout for the fish, but that's fine. I just point that out because I know he's going to watch this later, and I like the guy. Whoa, fishing ship hid behind the rocks, pro strategies. You can't actually, hide demolition ships there, by the way. I don't know if that'd be super relevant here. You can see what Red has done. Red has been very active with that transport ship, and the extra vision that you get on the Sicilian transport ship has really boosted the score here because you get 100 points for 10% of the map scouted. You can see his scouting versus John Slow's scouting on the minimap. There is a significant difference there. I don't even know where the transport is. Oh, here's the transport for John Slow. Okay. So anyways, what's Red up to? Well, Red knows that this island's free. Knows that this island is free and now can see the enemy. Wouldn't it be funny if you could just tempt the enemy scout into your transport? Like, here, buddy, I'm going to hop on in. I'm going to take you for a ride. Okay, Doc is up for Red. And what does common logic tell you on a map like this? Well, it says protect your fishing ships, protect the water. If you protect the water and you protect the map, you're going to prevent people from expanding to the other islands. At the very least, even if you don't kill fishing ships, right? John Slow, he sees the enemy transport, and he is up much later than the opponent here. Now, there's no berries on this map, so he's going to place a mill here so he can place farms, but also because he wants a market. Weird little thing about this game is how you have to have a mill, in order to market. Okay, so from Red's perspective, Red is definitely worried about the build order currently. He's going to snag this scout. Wait, he made another transport because Sicilians have cheaper transports. Dang! I was going to say, what on earth? I thought his transport was over here. And his transport is just missing the transport from John Slow. Now, guys, this is crazy. You could understand someone trying to take this. There's a lot more wood, a lot more gold, stone, food, whatever. You could understand someone trying to go here. You could understand going for water control, which is precisely what Red is doing. Red also is, wisely, starting to expand economically to the other islands. Working very hard. John Slow goes double mining camp on the same gold and is going to rely on the Saracen market. We'll see that in a second. And is getting loom right now. And here goes John Slow just sailing against the edge of the map. No navy in queue. Okay. None whatsoever. And did Red find the dock? Red did not find the fish. That'll be very important. Red, obviously making navy, is going to want to gain some reward. Now, you start with the transport on this map, so technically you could do this much earlier. This is now Red's point of view. And, you know, if I were to be giving you a tutorial for this map, and I were to look for examples, I would say the way Red has played this is really good. Because we have, you know, expansion to different islands. We have controlling the seas. What more could you really want in this type of game? Meanwhile, John Slow's transport ship is sitting in the corner of the map and is just going to sit in the trees. Now, again, Red is, for all the scouting that has happened, Red has failed to scout the dock, and that's a big deal here, because that is pretty much this is the only food eco, that villager and the 5 fishing ships for John Slow. This is very YOLO, and there is something about him where, like, these days he doesn't do a lot of dodging. I had a conversation in a recent video about how high-level players, some of them, most don't, but some do Alt F4 if they are on a map they don't like. John Slow has a different approach, which I really like. And he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to YOLO it. And if I lose, I lose, and then I just go play a new game. I'm going to go YOLO and just go all in and make this crazy. So it's kind of funny. You can tell Red was thinking, I want a market, and ran into the same situation where we were going to see a random mill that had no real practical applications. The time John Slow has had to make the fire galleys has been helpful. Fishing ships still bringing in some food. But we're going to go to Red's point of view here because John Slow's just sitting in the corner. By the way, I apologize for the pine trees. It's a mod I have, but I don't know what happened because the tree mods that I were using was not using for capture rate, which I liked because I prefer this for gameplay right now. So I apologize. These are pine mangrove trees, okay? Anyways, John Slow is waiting for Castellates the entire time. Is completely surrounded by navy. And this is Red's point of view. And John Slow shows up in the back of this guy's island. Had to take the furthest path. And is now going to just drop monasteries here. Now, he's not the fastest player, thus the name. But there he goes. And he's going to do his best to get these monasteries down. Now, Red didn't react to this quite quickly. And Red is, now going to panic. And you can tell Red now is kind of shifted away from any aggression, is going to bring the Navy back home to deal with this because this is on the shoreline. John Slow's economy, he's got enough food to create villagers because of the fishing ships, but it's very heavy on gold. So we have a transport into forward monasteries, and these monks are ready to preach to Dennis's people. This is ridiculous. Just the fact that this has happened. Now, Red reacted, but Red didn't really do much about it. And now Red's going to make a donjon. I think had Red done this right away, it's possible that maybe the monasteries would have gotten denied. But that's the thing about these types of strats, right? It happens so fast to you that you sometimes just aren't able to make the right moves. Everyone has a plan until they get monasteries built on their face. I'm pretty sure it's a Wayne Gretzky or Michael Scott quote or something. Anyways, 2 villagers get converted, so that's a 4-villager swing. And these villagers here are still trying to build this donjon. And again, unfortunately for Red, some big problems continue here. That donjon's at 93%. And here comes the Navy now. So I think the donjon will complete. The donjon's going to go up. That means there's arrow fire now. And so it's very awkward for John Slow to really know what to do here. And he did get Sanctity, so his monks have more HP. And what's he do? He just deletes the monastery. Because he had walled himself out. So he built 3 monasteries. The one was in the way. He just deletes it. Look at these guys go. Again, you're in Red's point of view. You have transported to all these different areas of the map. You've made Navy. And now you have monasteries in the back of your base. Like, this is the last thing you would have ever expected. Anyways, Redemption is on the way for the Clown. Redemption means you can convert enemy buildings. I believe that means you can also convert donjons. Because you can convert towers, right? So Red's got to be careful that we don't see a monk go underneath that donjon. And Red is on the way to Castle Age now. We have a Siege Workshop here from John Slow. Little eco update for John Slow. Yep, looks about the same as it did before. That said, he has produced villagers pretty consistently. Again, because of having those fishing ships. So it's a close game right now. Sicilians do build castles way faster. So being on stone is really important. Also, you could make another donjon. But now you're starting to lose your buildings. And I actually didn't even know until this moment that you start with huts. So that's like a house. So Red deletes that so John Slow can't take it. And now actually is population capped. It's a messy game. Red still has nice numbers of Navy, though. This is John Slow's point of view. And he was going to try and stop the donjon. And, you know, again, normally you'd think maybe you run back. Maybe you run back here to safety. But no, he converted this donjon. So there's our answer to our question. And he just continues to move along here. Did bring in the siege. The donjon doesn't seem to be able to get the value it's looking for. And finally does. Nice job from Red to use the villagers. And John Slow just continues to commit. It's crazy. Just continues to commit. Making monks, making siege. He now has this guy basically fully surrounded. He's got a donjon that he stole from Red. He's got the second siege workshop now because this one is probably ill-advised. And these villagers are ready to get out of here. Now watch this. That transport ship gets converted. So now you don't have a transport ship if you're Red. And now these villagers are really upset. They're like, man, I thought for sure that was the right transport ship. We showed up to the right place. Dang, we don't have one now. Okay. Villagers getting converted on this side, so more villager swings. Villagers getting converted all the time. And pretty soon, John Slow's going to have more villagers on this island than Red does. And, you know, has added some siege. But Red's not giving up. Red's got Navy. Red has a new TC here, so Red's expanding. But these villagers realize the writing is on the wall and that they will eventually lose this island. So now they've got to get the heck out of Dodge. 12 monks, 2 mangonels, and now John Slow takes a second to farm. So he's going to get a little bit more food eco, which is very nice. Still, villagers all around here. Like, Red's still, you know, with idols everywhere. You're trying to get transport ships out. And yeah, I think Red's doing the right thing to just kind of just switch to another area now. Because if you have water control, your opponent, in theory, cannot transport over here. And that becomes a very important talking point for us. So what is John Slow going to do? He's going to convert this dock. He's like, I actually would love a dock. And now Red just deletes the market, deletes the dock. He just has to delete all these things. I think a lot of my viewers at this point would probably resign. I'm not sure. Maybe people could tell me in the comments, but people probably wouldn't enjoy the feeling that Red is feeling right now. But Red's like, okay, we're back in Dark Age again. You know, we may need to take a rhino. Might need to farm a little bit. I wouldn't suggest that. Yo, Red, you got no other villagers here. What? Okay, he's stressed. That is a painful thing. TC goes down. Villager probably went down as well. Yes, it did. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Red was focusing on this. So Red finally killing the fishing ships from Jon Snow. Doesn't really have a large economy, though. And Jon Snow forcing Red to delete everything that he owns here, including this donjon. You should delete it. You don't want to donate another donjon to this guy. Yup. Man, the cost of this stuff. Like, Red, he's really struggling because he hasn't had food eco. So he's going to bring in this rhino now. Has to make more houses. Now, Jon Snow has a lot of stone, okay? So if Jon Snow could get over here, I could see a castle drop maybe finishing this game. Red, still has villagers in this. Transport here is a lot of things are going on at the moment. And we don't see this all the time, guys. There was a video I uploaded this year where it happened. But we're going to see it again. This transport ship is not moving. There are red villagers inside. And Jon Snow has a decision to make because he now has hostages. There are 3 red vills. Now, what I think is the best play is you hide that in the corner. Because that's 3 population Red can't ever use again. But instead, he lets them free so he can convert them. And Red says, I'm sick of you stealing my people. They'd rather die than switch to your side. So that's another way to do it, I guess. Still got monks here. Jon Snow running out of wood control now because he's surrounded by navy. Look at his island. He is still having issues here. So he's just going to drop a castle there. Again, certainly has the stone for it. And so he's going to start gathering things. Here come a couple monks that he forgot about. He's going to go convert the lumber camp because why not? And from Red's perspective, Red is producing villagers out of both these TCs. It's just like hoping the water control, accomplishes enough here. It's not pretty for Jon Snow. It's really not. But here comes Jon Snow. We've got 2 mangonels. We've got 2 monks. We've got a villager. Immediately shows up. Immediately kills a villager there because Red's been on that gold. And Red really has no way to stop this. Like, I think Red would have to pull the navy home. And that seems to be what Red is trying to do now. Gotta love this in Jon Snow games. Like, it's just, he's so focused on pressure. And he just doesn't have the speed. That, like, those villagers are just been sitting there idle for so long. But what's he do? He shows up to another island. He sees the TC, and he's like, oh, okay. Has more monks in this transport ship. And, like, think about what the monks are there for, right? They're there to bring people to their religion. And they've already accomplished all of that on this island, so they've got to travel elsewhere to spread the word. And here they go. Red's navy numbers aren't high now. There's 8 of them. Still feel like, this has brought some value. It's still very sloppy for Jon Snow at home. But there's been so many conversions. And realistically, to counter this, you would need food to get light cav, right? And okay, a couple of villagers coming over. And Jon Snow sells the stone. Uses the market, sells the stone. He's actually imping. He is on the way to imp. Still kind of surrounded by navy, dropping a forward castle here. And he will take out Red's TC, and Red comes over with the navy. And Jon Snow doesn't care, and he will absolutely convert the ships. He's just got too many monks, right? You would need... Well, first off, you would have needed Bodcanero a while ago. But you would need way more ships to be able to contest that number of monks. Crazy game. I mean, Red's probably just so frustrated right now. Here's a question. If your Saracens and your galleys fire faster... When you convert enemy galleys, do they still fire faster? Or does it fire the speed that the enemy galleys fired? I actually don't know the answer to that. Like, normally when it comes to attack stats, you're not going to see the stats themselves change after you convert a unit. You're kind of stuck with what they had. As for attack speed, though, I'm guessing the attack speed might change, though. Like, I could use another example, like Teutons, for example, resisting conversion. If you convert a Teuton unit, does that mean it resists conversion anymore when you're not Teutons? I don't think so. Civ bonuses don't get converted. Yeah, I don't know. Just things to think about, things to talk about here, because Jon Snow is pushing the only TC that poor Red has remaining. And Red is going for light cav, right? That's the right idea. Light cav are counter to monks, but when you've got this many monks, it becomes a little bit more challenging. And again, once Imperial Age comes in, a lot of different things could happen. These monks starting their conversions on the light cav. There's a little bit of conversion resistance here. But if you lose your light cav, there's still going to be siege then on your base, and there's a couple light cav converted. Red now runs out here. There's also some spearmen there. And Imperial Age comes in, and just like that, the game is over. Most created unit for Red, which is probably the type of unit that I would create, is 14 War Galleys. And then Jon Snow simply went monks. 14 monks is his highest created unit. So he didn't go for water control. And not only did he transport, but he didn't transport to the extra islands, which would make a whole lot of sense. He transported to the back of the other guy's island and stole it before shifting over to this island here. So I wanted to cast this one because it's so freaking unique. Yet I just love Jon Snow, man. If it's not arena, he just goes for some crazy YOLO strategy, and like it either looks horrible or it works really well. There's no in between. Players who don't care as much about the map or don't care as much about losing, who've been there and done that, they will take these risks, and I feel like that's very rare. A lot of people don't take these risks as they don't want to lose their points, or they don't want to lose reputation for doing something stupid. I love that. So a good game. I do think for Red, just to break it down strategically, the water control didn't pay off. I don't think you stopped the transport from happening because that was just really sneaky and the timings was right. But I think that the fact that the Navy numbers, we've got 9 Navy, didn't kill the fishing ships from Jon Snow really hurt him because he was living off those fishing ships for a while for food income. Forcing him to make farms or buy food or whatever would have been more helpful. The other thing is, and again, it's very easy to say when you're casting, and Red noticed this right away, right? Red noticed this right away. Boom, you tower it. I think the second you see this, you build the donjon right there. And if the donjon's going up instead of Vil rushing, even if the monasteries go up, it becomes very difficult for Jon Snow to really, snowball it in the same way. Because eventually Red thought about dropping the donjon, but it was way later. And those are just things that just come with time, right? Like, I think Red's probably, feeling frustrated and is probably like, man, how did I lose to that nonsense? What clownery. I can't believe how stupid I am. I mean, I don't know how I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm just saying some people, they get a little frustrated and think such things. I think it's going to click in Red's mind. I just need to tower that right away. And you tower it right away. I think Jon Snow has to work a bit harder for it. But, it just kind of snowballs out of control on you. You sometimes don't believe that something that ambitious could actually work. So 33-23 with the KD, but 31 units were converted in this game. That's not bad. I sometimes forget if the KD is included in the... No, it can't be included in this, right? He had 22 kills and 31 conversions. So that the whole KD here doesn't tell the whole story. Economically, he did have more resources, more of every resource. Obviously, for Red, there was a lot of transporting and just like losing access to buildings, having to rebuild buildings. It was very messy. And then it was a 1451 castle time, just using the market. Saracens have great market rates, and he threw everything on the gold. You started with the transport ship. It just made it so much easier to do that. It's just commitment, man. And then if you really want to appreciate Jon Snow even more, you could just see how slow he is in comparison. It's all about the right moves and the right positions of the map. And still, even though it's not fast-paced, smashing the opponent in the face in a way they're not expecting it. So, I don't know. Like, people have clearly voted in Pacific Islands. Again, I'm not seeing people play Pacific Islands. Like, nobody's playing it, dude. So I think a lot of people just voted it into the map pool just to, create chaos for others. But if you are playing it, maybe consider the sneak transport to the corner of the map, showing up at the back of your opponent's base, build 3 monasteries, delete one of the monasteries, make a new monastery, then a siege workshop, then convert the donjon strat. It worked out here. I'm sure it'll work out just as good for you and surprise your opponent. GG, good game, and thanks for watching.